Hey class, it's been a pleasure to study alongside you over the past 8 weeks. This is Joe, Matt, and Zach presenting on the National Football League as part of our group research project on the implementation of strategic corporate social responsibility. We thought the NFL would be an interesting choice due to its status as a nonprofit, its prominence in American society, and the impact of the actions it takes on the broader community as a whole. Through our research, as well as materials published by the NFL itself, we found that they engage in significant CSR as well as philanthropic efforts. Due to the fundamental difference between strategic CSR and philanthropy, we'll be diving primarily into how they engage with their stakeholders, how they implement their CSR initiatives to support their overall mission and vision, what sort of tactics and strategies they use, how they communicate with their stakeholders, and finally, how they measure success in execution of strategic corporate social responsibility initiatives and what their plans are for the future. In working with their stakeholders, the NFL applies a CSR filter to their actions. This ensures their actions are in line with their stated mission. The NFL's stated mission is to inspire and unify fans and communities and leave a meaningful impact. To live up to their mission, they divide their CSR efforts into three broad categories: what we're made of, cultivating community health, and supporting a stronger society. These sections will be facilitated by Matt, Joe, and Zach, respectively.
All right, folks. So this is Matt Coball speaking. The section that I will be covering is called "What We Were Made Of," and so you see that the NFL splits their CSR initiative into essentially two pillars. They look at it from a football perspective as the first pillar, and the second pillar from a community perspective. It's pretty straightforward and simple. However, it is a little bit complex being a not-for-profit, and you'll see throughout all of the slides in the discussion here that there is a lot of other not-for-profit organizations that work with the NFL in order to to bring their CSR initiative to fruition. So explaining the two pillars and their overarching stakeholders, obviously you have the external stakeholders, which are going to be fans, the community in total. So you're not necessarily a fan of a particular team or the NFL in general. However, you do benefit, and your community does benefit from the NFL and their assistance. And then they look at it from the football perspective, which includes players, coaches, owners, and the staff. The resounding theme throughout their whole CSR initiative is to make a lasting and positive impact both on and off of the field. And so in the What We're Made Of section, you'll see that there are three initiatives that are really a core part of what we're made of, or what the NFL considers what we're made of. That would include the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, the Salute to Service, and obviously the Super Bowl, which is a really big one for the NFL. So the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award is considered to be the NFL's most prestigious award. Essentially what it does is it recognizes excellence both on and off of the field. So this is a player who's done something outstanding for the community, for a particular cause that they find important, and this is all up to the player and their own actions. So it's not something that's directed from the top. That this is somebody going out of their way to do something special or something great. It recognizes the best of the NFL's philanthropy and positive community impact. Part of the award is that the winner of the award receives $500,000. $250,000 they can donate to the charity of their choosing. So that there is a $250,000, I guess you could call it a bonus, for the player that wins, and is utilized in partnership with the United Way. So the United Way and the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award kind of partnered together, and they do some other special projects on the side in the name of the award. And one of the big ones was the creation of the character playbook, which is kind of a cool digital interactive experience for middle school students that teaches them healthy life decisions. So like making the right friends, or staying away from certain crowds, or certain behaviors that could lead you down a bad path, which if you think, everybody remembers back into the middle school years how impactful that type of a discussion can be, especially coming from somebody prestigious from the NFL, or a player that you see on the field that might carry some clout for those students. Just as an example of a winner of the the Walter Payton Man of the Year award would be J.J. Watt. And I thought that this was a really cool example to bring to the table just so you could see how impactful and really what they're looking for this award and why it's so prestigious. So in 2017, obviously, Hurricane Harvey hit Texas pretty hard. We all remember the substantial flooding and how detrimental it was for the communities down there. J.J. Watt, he plays for the Texans, so obviously he has a connection to the town, and he has a connection to the South in general. And just on a whim, he posted up on social media that he was looking to raise $200,000 for Harvey victims, and if they hit $200,000, he was going to match $100,000 of it. So half of the money would have been his own money. In just 19 days, J.J. Watt unexpectedly raised $37 million, and consequently, he had to loop in a whole bunch of other external organizations, nonprofits, to make sure that the money was handled responsibly and got into the right hands, and that as much of it made it directly into the pockets of Hurricane Harvey victims. So in 19 days to raise $37 million, the NFL decided that J.J. Watt was deserving of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And so now we get into the salute to service. This is something that I was personally familiar with from dealing with merchandise that we sell at Dick's Sporting Goods, and this is a type of jersey that we get in once every year. It's a particular month. Memory serves, I think it's September. We get it in at the beginning of the season. It might be November. Memory doesn't help me here. But essentially, the salute to service is a way for the NFL to honor veterans and service members, as well as their families or those who have past served and those who might have passed on. The NFL recognizes that this is a core of their demographic, and it's something responsible for that they certainly need to do. So they maintain some strategic partnerships in order to support the military. So again, we're reaching out to other nonprofits. You'll see the USO, TAPS, Wounded Warrior Project, the Pat Tillman Foundation, just to name a few. They work to empower, honor, and connect with military members and their families. And there also is a Salute to Service award that is handed out to an NFL member. Typically it's a player, just to recognize their individual efforts and contributions to service members. And so here we talk about sort of the impact from the Salute to Service efforts from the NFL. Since 2011, STS has raised more than $26 million for NFL's military and nonprofit partners. You can see the impact from the Wounded Warrior Project. More than 700 warriors and their families have benefited from the NFL support. TAPS is something that I was not familiar with. It's the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. The NFL supports youth mentoring and counseling programs, was one of the core efforts. So you're reaching out to the kids of families who might have lost somebody overseas. The Pat Tillman Foundation was another unfamiliar organization for me in particular. It provides scholarships for military members and their families. There's some pretty impactful numbers that come out of this foundation, where how many families are impacted and how many service members and their families and their kids are able to get scholarships to go on and continue their education. And then, of course, the USO, which the USO has been around for years, for decades. And you can see that more than 250 NFL members have visited troops abroad with the USO. And so here we kind of wrap up the Salute to Service with just a real quick discussion about the Salute to Service Award. It recognizes NFL players, it could be coaches, it could be personnel, and alumni who have demonstrated commitment to honoring the military. So again, this is recognizing individual efforts of folks who are part of the NFL to take care of and help and support some military members in the United States. And again, and this is something that's important for the NFL because they recognize that this is part of their core demographic. They are the National Football League, so obviously there's some national pride involved with the organization. When you think American football, you think America. I mean, there's very little that's strictly American than football, and so you can see the importance of taking care of service members and recognizing them in the way that they are, and so it encourages NFL members to become active with military benefit initiatives. And so we're going to wrap it up here with possibly the biggest part of the what we're made of part of the NFL, and that would be the Super Bowl. So you might not realize it. Some folks, they look at the Super Bowl and they think of it's just sheer profit. You hear how much the commercials cost during the Super Bowl, but really the Super Bowl gives back, in my humble opinion, just as much as it makes for its partners, just by doing what it does. So it's a significant philanthropic event. You'll see many organizations that are involved. If you think back to the last Super Bowl you watched, nearly every commercial break or every pause in the game, they're talking about, the announcers are talking about this organization, that organization. And really, these are all not-for-profits that are working to benefit. And it's the NFL is the one that is propagating this. So you can truly see the social responsibility aspect being looped in here. So it's a large community engagement opportunity. So they work for weeks in advance and sometimes following up after the Super Bowl with the community at large to have a positive impact for whomever is hosting the Super Bowl. So there's a big economic effect. You'll see them reaching out to United Way, to green initiatives. You can just pick a name, and the NFL will be involved in the community in some aspect if you're hosting the NFL. One cool thing that I saw was the NFL tries to utilize a zero waste legacy project initiative for the Super Bowl. So that is to say that they're offsetting the amount of trash and waste that is generated from hosting the event through either planting trees, or I think of it kind of in a carbon neutral or a carbon credit program. They're factoring in what the environmental impact of the event will be, and then offsetting it through some other green initiative. So they made a claim, at least in 2017, that 91% of the trash generated on game day was reconciled through recycling and other methods. That's a fairly complex and pretty bold statement. But at the end of the day, you can see the social responsibility involvement there. The 2017 Super Bowl invested, they estimated $5.5 million through other nonprofits unique to the community in which the Super Bowl was held. And that just kind of speaks to the overarching social responsibility of the NFL, and kind of taking it upon their shoulders that we're going to have a positive impact in the community no matter what it is. So if it's one game, and that one game happens to be the Super Bowl, they're going to focus on positive impact to the community and involve all of the NFL's particular stakeholders, whether it be players, coaches, members, owners, whatever it takes. That's their deal. All right, folks, that kind of wraps up the What We're Made Of section for the NFL and their CSR initiatives. I appreciate you listening to me kind of work my way through this. I hope it was insightful for everybody. Appreciate it.
Building a stronger society. As America's most popular professional sports league, the NFL takes its position of leadership seriously. The league embraces its role in unifying our communities and serving as a force for positive change. The NFL focuses its efforts and resources on social issues including character education, domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking prevention, as well as its ongoing work with teams and players on social justice. One of the NFL's key CSR initiatives that allows it to engage with its athlete stakeholder group is My Causes, My Cleats. It was launched in 2016 to provide NFL players a chance to share the causes most important to them. It was a culmination of 18 months of collaborative work between the NFL and players across the league. In its inaugural year, more than 500 players showcased their causes on field during games. This implementation of strategic CSR is mutually beneficial to both the athlete stakeholder group and the organization itself. They allow their athletes to expose issues personally important to them on a national stage and allow employees, the athletes, to direct their efforts in a way that benefits their home communities. It also allows the NFL to be better connected to local issues or current social issues through the players that they have in their league. By opening up channels of communication directly with their fans and with their players through this sort of strategic CSR, it allows the NFL to make decisions in real time that are more strategically effective because they are in line with their stakeholder values. This communication channel both includes the fans, the athletes, as well as the NFL leadership itself. The NFL works to reduce drinking while driving and domestic violence in the community. It's partnered with MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, to make sure that 1.4 million fans have signed up to be designated drivers. This is a good move on the NFL's part, considering that alcohol is somewhat part of football culture, and that over time it's become very much an American sort of thing to make it all about Sunday football, beers, what you're going to eat, that kind of lifestyle. And it's making sure you do so responsibly. It doesn't fall necessarily to the NFL to make sure that people take care of themselves and don't drink and drive. They need to do their part to make sure that their community and fan base know that that's not something that the NFL condones and actually works actively to prevent. Also, since 2014, the NFL has provided financial support to the National Domestic Violence Hotline in its mission to shift power back to the people affected by relationship abuse. During that time, the hotline has surpassed many milestones, including answering its 4 millionth contact and its work with Congress to strengthen laws to provide protection for victims and survivors of domestic violence. Due to some high-profile domestic violence cases of players inside the NFL, it's important for the NFL to participate in reducing domestic violence and raising awareness of the impacts of domestic violence on the community. Because their players often serve as role models in the community, it's important to make sure that any sort of abuses or lapses in ethical behavior are addressed proactively by the organization. By helping to reduce domestic violence, they help to repair the reputation and repair the image of the NFL. However, they are often criticized for not going far enough, as their work in repairing this relationship with their stakeholders, particularly the fans, remains incomplete. It's important for the NFL to also focus on diversity and inclusion. The NFL Careers in Football Forum helps address this particular CSR issue. During Pro Bowl week, the NFL hosted the NFL Women's Careers in Football Forum. It served to educate, inspire, and connect qualified female candidates for positions in coaching, scouting, and football administration in the NFL, CFL, collegiate, and high school level. 50 women were selected to participate in the career development program from a pool of more than 400 applicants. It's important for the NFL to make sure that they include women as they proceed into the future. As women are a key stakeholder for NFL, it makes sense to be more inclusive, despite their history of being much less than inclusive in their practices. This is definitely a step forward, but they have much work left to be done in making sure that female representation in the NFL progresses as it should. The NFL has also made concerted effort to reach out to the LGBTQ community and has launched NFL Pride in 2017. It's an affinity group which aims to heighten visibility of the LGBTQ community in the NFL offices so that employees of all sexual orientations feel comfortable being themselves in the workplace. This allows and fosters communication through networking events, guest speakers, community outreach, and employee education. This is connected to the Black Engagement Network, which seeks to strengthen the NFL's engagement of its Black employees by providing professional development, increased career opportunities, and working to help solve diversity-related business challenges. Community Teammates, which organizes regular volunteering outings for employees to give back to the communities in which they live and work. And finally, WIN, which allows women to explore and develop their careers and paths at the NFL. It's incredibly important for the NFL to engage with all of these stakeholders, considering that the NFL, if it wants to continue its place as a centerpiece of the American lifestyle, needs to represent what America is now, which is far more inclusive than it was potentially when football became as popular as it still is today. All of these strategies go to support the broader goal of supporting a stronger society. This is in line with the NFL's vision and mission for its place in the community. Because their audience is so broad, they need to be attentive to the needs of the community and develop a two-way communication strategy between themselves and their stakeholders. Their CSR performance is improving. As fans and other stakeholders lower their CSR thresholds across the board, the NFL needs to make sure they continue the strategy of communication to learn what's important to their fans and their key other stakeholders. So far, they seem to have done a very good job in incorporating diversity and inclusion, serving communities of minority populations, and making sure that their players can volunteer in their communities and make sure that causes that are important to them are represented.
The NFL is committed to cultivating community health by educating kids and young adults on how to lead a healthy lifestyle while providing the entire NFL community with a safe and supportive environment. One of the largest CSR initiatives taken by the NFL was with the development of the Play 60 Challenge. The idea of this campaign was to target youth health and to aid schools in designing and implementing a curriculum that involved at least 60 minutes of physical activity during regular school hours each day of the week. An app was designed to make the program more engaging and to encourage friendly competition from other students. This challenge partnered with the National Dairy Council to improve school nutrition and physical activities across 73,000 schools. Over 65 character camps have been held since 2012, which impacted over 20,000 youths across the country. These camps aid at teaching football skills while also emphasizing the importance of character in athletics and life. In 2017, the NFL's Play 60 Challenge began partnering with the Special Olympics to fund grants to local programs to help increase the physical activities in youth with special needs. The Play 60 campaign is also a partner with St. Jude's Children's Hospital and give patients and their families unique experiences at NFL events while raising awareness and finding cures and saving children. The NFL has partnered with the American Cancer Society in support for the fight against cancer among its players and fans. More recently, in 2017, the NFL created the Crucial Catch campaign, which focuses on the early detection and risk reduction of screenable cancers such as breast, colon, and cervical. Nationwide grants for empowerment and equity programs provide the funds to underserved communities so that they are able to give out free cancer screenings. In 2017, the NFL and the American Cancer Society rolled out the Defender app. This app provides personalized tips to reduce cancer risks, as well as the ability to analyze user input health information to provide tailored recommendations that the user can implement in their daily activities. Since 2009, the NFL has raised $18 million for the American Cancer Society grants and have aided in 102,000 mammogram screenings. The NFL Foundation was created in 1973 and is the league's nonprofit organization that represents all 32 NFL teams. Its mission is to support the health, safety, and wellness of athletes, youth football, and the communities that support the game. The foundation works to ensure that middle and high school students have the tools and education to build character, navigate complex decision-making, and to improve conflict resolution. The Inside Out initiative was developed by the foundation and aims at transforming the win-at-all-cost sports culture and focuses on redefining the role of interscholastic sports and help develop the educational, social, and emotional well-being of each student athlete. The foundation has teamed up with the United Way and created the Character Playbook, which is a digital education program that helps middle school students learn how to cultivate and maintain healthy relationships. This program has had a positive impact on more than 120,000 students. Funded by the NFL Foundation, the NFL provides grants through many partnerships to aid the youth and fellow NFL community members. Since 1998, Grassroots Grant has been used to build or refurbish neighborhood football fields across the country, totaling 510 fields. The NFL has provided grants to fund 350 youth camps across the nation. $2 million in grants were provided to athletes in need in poor, underserved communities to purchase new equipment, uniforms, and supplies. The health of NFL players has been in the spotlight for many years due to injuries sustained while playing, which has mostly been surrounded by concussions and their long-term impact on a player. The NFL has committed to a health and safety grant worth $100 million to fund medical research and engineering advancements in sportswear in an effort to diagnose, prevent, and treat sports-related injuries. Every year, the NFL's 32 teams nominate a candidate for the Don Shula High School Coach of the Year. This award is based on a coach's character, integrity, dedication to the community, commitment to safety, and on-field success. In 2017, Robert Garrett of Crenshaw High School was a recipient of the award of $25,000, of which $15,000 goes to the school's sports program. He led the team to a record season and a state title. In addition, Coach Garrett is a great mentor and a father figure to many of his athletes. Every year, the NFL donates money to disaster relief funds. When Hurricane Harvey struck, they contributed $1 million to the United Way Relief Fund. During Hurricane Irma, they contributed a total of $1 million to support the American Appeal Fund and the American Red Cross to aid Florida and the Florida Keys and the Caribbean. Hurricane Maria, they donated $100,000 to the American Red Cross and the Miami Dolphins Foundation to support the relief efforts in Puerto Rico. After the Mexico City earthquake, they matched $50,000 to the New England Patriots, the Oakland Raiders, and the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Foundation Banorte for relief efforts in Mexico City after the earthquake. The Las Vegas mass shooting, they contributed a total of $100,000 to the National Compassion Fund to help support the victims and their families, and to the American Red Cross to assist with the blood drives and other immediate relief efforts. They also contributed $100,000 to aid the Northern California wildfires. This money was sent to the American Red Cross and was matched by the Oakland Raiders and the San Francisco 49ers. All in all, this totaled $2.35 million in 2017. On the NFL website, they have an auction section that is ongoing throughout the year and allows the fans to bid and purchase authentically signed and game-used items from teams and players. The NFL does not keep any profits from these auctions, and the money is donated to team and player charities and nonprofits. $5 million have been raised in the past 5 years, and it has allowed players to support causes they truly care about. USA Football is the sport's governing body, and they are a member of the United States Olympic Committee. This governing group helps establish important standards in education, player safety, and support for coaches and players for youths and adults. The idea is to create an environment where bonds are formed, skills are perfected, and physical literacy is gained through the fun and participation in the game of football. USA Football created the Heads Up football program in 2012 with a $45 million grant from the NFL Foundation. The goal of this program are to train coaches on proper tackling, blocking, and equipment fitting. The program also informs coaches, parents, and players on recognition and response protocols for concussions, heat strokes, dehydration, and cardiac arrest.
Wrapping things up, we know that the NFL breaks down their social corporate responsibility initiatives into the 3 broader topics of what we're made of, supporting a stronger society, and cultivating community health. All of this is in line with the NFL's mission to inspire and unify fans and communities and leave a meaningful impact. Based on the research that we've conducted throughout this project, we believe the NFL is effective in its implementation of strategic CSR, however it still has opportunities, especially in the way that it engages minorities and women. By empowering their employees and players, to support causes that they themselves believe in, and by making sure the channels of communication between the fans and the NFL itself are open. The NFL poises itself to be successful in the long term, so long as it can maintain its relationships with all of its relevant stakeholders and continue to implement strategic CSR in a way that meets their needs. We welcome your feedback and thank you so much for your time. I hope you had a great semester. I look forward to seeing you in the next round of classes.